Hello, and welcome to the Legal Growth Podcast, where we dive into strategies, challenges, and success stories shaping the future of law firms. I'm your host, Aaron Fulk, and together with Legal Growth Partners, we'll bring you in-depth conversations with top legal professionals, industry innovators, and firm leaders. Our goal is simple: share practical insights, innovative strategies, and real-world advice to help your law firm scale, adapt, and thrive. Whether you're navigating growth challenges or looking to boost your business development, you are in the right place. Let's dive in. This week, our guest is Saul Ancona. Did I say your last name correct?
Saul Ancona. You can say however you want. It's Italy, so I'm sure I don't even say it correctly.
Tell everybody where you're from, if they don't know by your accent.
Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised here. Love it here. And it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. All right, let's dive in. Give us a quick overview of why you chose law and the type of law that you chose.
Great question. So it's funny. Law was always supposed to be my career path, just because my parents and my grandparents, they were always pushing that on me. Doctor was another option, but that's not the path I chose. Um, I ended up going to NYU. I majored in real estate, and by the time it came to graduate, I kind of fell out of pursuing law. I wasn't really interested anymore. Um, and when I was looking in the job market, I realized that most of the opportunities that were available to me as a graduate from NYU, prestigious school, really, for the most part, would have been available to me had I not gone to college at all. And that was really disappointment. Um, Also felt like I wasted a lot of my time. You have these ideas that, everything's going to be set up for you. You go to elementary school, you want to get good grades. Then you go to middle school, and you go to high school, you want to get good grades. The whole point is to get into the good college, and get into the good college, you want to get good grades. And then you're like, all right, I'm at the end of this thing now, what? And you're like, okay, well, I kind of could have done this without doing all that. So I felt that if I didn't go to law school, I would have wasted many, many years of my life. And that's why I decided to recalibrate and go into law, because you need to have a degree to go into law. And I said I'll use that degree to get into law school and just go from there and see where it takes me and get a professional license. Had I fallen to this field of law? Very good question, and it's actually it's a very sensitive story. But when I was starting up in 2020, um, one night I saw my phone go down. I had no service, um, and I didn't think much of it. It was late at night. I went to sleep, and I woke up the next morning. My service was restored, but my crypto account, my can't say which exchange, but my money was held on an exchange. My cryptocurrency account was hacked. My social media accounts were hacked and permanently deleted. And these thieves, what they did was it's called a SIM swap. They called up my phone carrier. They pretended to be me. They had my phone number switched over to a phone in their possession. Then they used the two-factor codes that are supposed to be sent to me to log into my account. It was sent to them, and they used those codes to steal around 2 Bitcoins from me. And at the time, those coins were worth around $15,000 total, and that was most of the money that I had at the time. And there were no attorneys around that were able to help me at that loss threshold. Um, I did my due diligence. I worked hard. I prayed to God. I wrote a letter up and I sent it to my mobile carrier. I sent it to the exchange. I sent it to any random email address I could find to try to get the attention of somebody. Long story short, I ended up settling with both the carrier and the exchange. So when I was in law school, I partnered with a forensic investigator. His name's Chris, great guy. Uh, Constructive is actually the name of his company, and he did a trace for me to see where my money went. and my money ended up in Estonia in some defunct exchange. Um, but I asked him, do you have clients who have the same story as me, people who were SIM swapped? And he said, yeah. I said, do you help them get their money back from the exchanges or get compensated from the mobile carriers? And he said, no, we just do the traces. I said, well, I know a few people now because of my experience. I could act as an agent, and you could send me your people, and I'll try to talk to whoever I can and get settlements for them. That's what I did throughout law school, and I brought the budding practice to different internships that I was at, real estate internships. They were all impressed with it, but it was not something that they wanted to bring into their wheelhouse until I came to Franco Law, Joe Franco, who is now my partner in this field, in this Coin Counsel. And I came to work for him in his real estate firm to build this crypto firm, and it ended up taking over all of my time. And I basically, for the most part, only do cryptocurrency law. We help people that get their money stolen in the same way that I did, and in other ways. And there's a real estate thing that comes my way. I'll bring it to Joe, and Joe will handle it. And that's really how I got into it. It's a story that it's something that happened to me, and it just fell into my lap. Really, that's the truth.
It seems like it's very niche. I don't think I know anyone else in this space right yet.
It's certainly niche, and we actually built a group of attorneys, Google Groups. We communicate on it, and we share information that it's not non-confidential information. We monthly Zoom calls, Google Meet calls, and yeah, there are very few attorneys that are doing this. There are even fewer attorneys that are doing this as their main practice area. And it's very in this type of work, it's very important to have a community that you can discuss things with, strategize with. A lot of the law that we rely on is not particularly established for cryptocurrency. We rely on a lot of banking laws, such as the Electronic Funds Transfer Act, and we argue that crypto exchanges are banks and that cryptocurrency is funds and therefore subject to that. And it's a long, we get into a whole rabbit hole about that, but basically we are paving the path for crypto law. One of the things that we're very proud of is the fact that the SIM swaps have really stopped altogether or slowed down to the extent that we're not getting any calls anymore, and the attorneys that we work with are not getting any calls anymore. And that's certainly due to the work that we collectively have done together, and the mobile carriers have put good systems in place to prevent these things from happening. So it's very fulfilling work in what we do. And there's always action. There's always something else happening.
So what has been your biggest growth success story so far while you've been doing this?
Okay, so when you say growth, do you mean growth as an individual attorney or growth from, like, seeing the business grow?
I mean, whichever one you have a better story about, right? Like, I think it's really interesting, especially since you're in such a niche space. And you partially answered this ahead of time where you said we've gotten a lot of these things changed, that it's actually making super impact. But what else have you seen that's been like that you would consider I'm doing the right thing and I'm really growing, I'm making a difference? And whether that's personal or in your firm.
Of course. So one of the things that distinguishes our firm from other firms in the space is that we will take on cases that are relatively have a relatively low monetary loss threshold. So, there are firms who will not take on cases under 50K, under 100K, under 250K. We'll take cases. We've taken cases literally sub $5,000 just because we knew that we could help that person. And I was in the same position where nobody was able to help me. So part of our motto is that we want to help whoever we can, if we can. So we will take on smaller cases really mostly from an altruistic standpoint. So that's I guess you could say
I'm just trying to find out the lesson from these. We need two things. First of all, a good guy
it's growth in a sense because there are a lot of clients that come in that couldn't be helped anywhere else. So the caseload is certainly higher than it would have been had we only been taking cases above 50K or 100K or whatever it may be. Another aspect of the growth in the firm is we've seen, and I'm not happy to say it, but we've seen many new types of scams unfolding. There are what are called imposter scams, exchange imposter scams, where bad actors will reach exchanges or even in certain cases pay employees of exchanges to give them sensitive information pertaining to clients and from their clients' accounts. They then use that information, the bad actors use that information to reach out to the victims, pretend they're the exchange, and convince them that there's something wrong with their account and convince them to send their money off of the exchange and it ends up being stolen. Or there's a hybrid of that where you have the imposter scheme and then they just take over the account and steal the money out that right, steal it outright. Those are actually cases that we're able to work with. The cases that are the most difficult and that are the most heartbreaking to see are what are called pig butchering cases. Long story short, and everybody should know about this, especially elder people. Victims will be put into a group chat on WhatsApp or Telegram or whatever, or they'll be reached out to by some friend on Instagram or Facebook, and they'll develop a relationship and they'll start talking about investing in cryptocurrency, and they'll be convinced into creating an account with a certain exchange. But that exchange is a fraudulent exchange. It's basically a simulation. So now you have people who are sending $500,000, $1 million, whatever it may be, to their wallets, and then they see the money in their accounts, but the money's not really in their accounts. It went to some bad actor, and now there's trading calls. So you should make this trade, make that trade, and they do it, and they make a lot of money, but there's no money really being made. So now they see their million turn into 5, and they want to take some money out. They say, "Oh well, there's an income tax you have to pay." So they get duped, and they pay the income tax, and now there's a fee, a penalty, and this and that, and they keep adding on to the scheme until the victim realizes that it was a scam, and they pull the plug, and that's called the pig butchering scheme. Those cases are very hard to help with because there's no exchange to sue unless the exchange was very negligent in stopping the transactions after flagging them. But I don't want to get into that. Basically, the only real way to help those people is to trace the funds, which costs a few dollars to do, and then hope that the funds are traced to an entity that will comply with law enforcement, or hope that the funds end up being traced to an entity that the government sees their assets and is doing a forfeiture. But those are the cases that we started taking on in a very limited quantity and only with the help of other law firms that really take the lead on going after the funds. So the more scams that go on, the more the firm grows. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. But you never know what's going to come. There's always something else. And personally, as an attorney, I'd say I grew as a person just by experiencing all these different stories and hearing the hardships that people go through. You hear stories that you never ever could imagine, and they actually really take a toll. There have definitely been tears in the firm.
All right, let's wrap it up with what I'm going to kind of throw a little ringer here. I'm going to change the last question.
Of course.
What is the number one tip you would give to people so that they don't get scammed? What's the best way to keep yourself out of all the scams?
First of all, if you have a cryptocurrency exchange that you're putting your money on, they're not going to call you out of the blue and tell you that your money is being stolen. So if you get a call like that, you should already be aware that someone's trying to scam you. If somebody puts you in a WhatsApp chat with 100 people in it, and they're all writing, "We're making all this money," and there's the doctor, professor, genius who's giving us all these trading tips, it's a pig butchering scam, cut and dry. If some pretty lady reaches out to you, or a handsome man reaches out to you on Facebook out of nowhere and just starts talking to you and developing a relationship with you, and they just start talking about cryptocurrency and investing in crypto and how they're making all this money, you should know that's automatically a pig butchering scam. It's every single time we've heard these fact patterns, it's always a scam. It never turns out to not be a scam. It's always a scam. The story tells it all. The fact pattern tells it all. Always check, if you have money in a 401k, let's say, or you have money with a financial advisor, and you're thinking about taking your money out to now invest in one of these schemes, you better talk to your advisor and explain to them what's going on. And if you do a good job at explaining it, they should be able to dissuade you from moving your money. And we have an attorney that we work with who actually sues these financial advisors for allowing their clients to take money out and putting it in these fake exchanges, and they've been successful. So do your due diligence. Don't trust everybody. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. And do your research. That's the bottom line. Do your research. You'll always find out. If you do enough digging, you'll find out what you're dealing with.
I love that. I do. If it's too good to be true, it always is. I love that one. So, well, thank you so much for joining us on the Legal Growth Podcast presented by Legal Growth Partners. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, drop us a review, and share it with your colleagues, because great insights are even better when shared. For more tips and tools to help grow your practice, visit legalgrowthpartners.com. Until next time, keep innovating, keep growing, and keep smiling. Thank you so much, Saul. That was great.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure being here, and I'm excited to see it come together.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon.